everyone, I'm Victoria and I'm delighted to be joined today by the wonderful Charlotte Copland, or Top Totty Lossie as she's known amongst our members. Charlotte is a real rising star of the clay shooting world and she's making massive headway through the British clay shooting scene. She's a real doer, she goes out there, she puts the work in, she gets the job done and she's always got a smile on her face. Lottie has been shooting for just over 6 years. She's shot for her county in the north of England 2 years in a row. She shot the Worlds in the USA twice, amazing. She's made B class in the UK classification system, dropped out and got back in again. And she's made the amazing 6th place in the UK rankings of Sport Trap in 2017. Unbelievable. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you here today. So thanks for joining me, Lottie. So first up, for those women that don't know you, can you just tell us a little bit more about who you are, where you're from, what disciplines you shoot, which I've kind of covered, and also what you shoot with as well, gun and ammo wise.
No problem. So hi everyone, I'm Charlotte. I live in a small town in West Yorkshire called Castleford with my husband Andy. When I'm not shooting, I work as a HR business take-on consultant for a global IT company. But when I am shooting, predominantly I shoot English sporting. But during the winter I do quite a bit of sport trap and all round, just to keep shooting. But I'm a massive fair weather shooter, so sport trap and all round tends to be a little bit undercover and it's over much quicker in the winter. English sporting's my bag.
Brilliant.
I do a little bit of skeet for practice, but it's not my favourite thing to do.
No.
I shoot a beautiful Browning Ultra XS and I use Hull Pro 120 rounds.
Brilliant.
And my cartridge of choice.
Oh, great choice. Oh, that's amazing. So I know you shoot with your lovely husband, Andy, and you got recently married, so congratulations again. And I first met you at a Chelsea Gun Club event in North Yorkshire. But how did you get into shooting?
So Andy and my dad got into shooting quite a few years ago now, and I was following them around, going to local shoots, always just kind of keeping score and watching them, getting out in the open, but never really picking a gun up. Mm-hmm. And then I followed Andy to his first major comp. He went to do the British Open and he went to do some registered shoots, and I decided, you know what, I quite like this, I want to give it a go. So I started with a semi-auto junior gun, which was a 20.
I remember it.
I didn't get it. I just didn't get what this shooting bug was all about. It didn't click and I wasn't kind of interested. But I also didn't want to just give up. So in a decidedly male-dominated sport, I started Googling ladies shooting in the UK. And before I knew it, I'd emailed you. And was booked on to one of the first Shotgun and Chelsea Gun Club events at Warrengill in North Yorkshire. I met you and a number of other ladies that I'm still firm friends with to this day. And I borrowed a 12 gauge over and under from a girl, put some 21 gram cartridges in it, shot it, and suddenly something just felt good, and that was it. I was hooked. I was completely hooked. I came away from that day and said to Andy, right, I didn't have a licence at this point, I want to shoot an over and under, I want to shoot a 12 gauge, not really understanding what any of that meant, but I knew that that's what I'd shot on that day. So we borrowed a gun from somebody, which was an old Winchester that literally just fell apart when you cocked the lever. It was perfect. And I shot that for 2 or 3 months until I got my own gun and never looked back.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's so good that you just, like you said, you followed them round and then you were like, no, actually, I want in on this. And look at you now, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so what has your shooting journey looked like? Did you always so obviously you started shooting, you started buttoning and then you started shooting, and then kind of once you got into it, did you always know that you wanted to go down the competition route, or did that like happen organically? And can you just tell us a little bit how you kind of decided to get into it?
So when I first started shooting regularly, I intermingled local shoots with ladies' events and registered shoots and competitions because I loved the variety of targets I got to see and miss. I visited lots of different grounds, made friends, but overall, my ultimate aim from shooting was and still is to hit as many targets as I can, improve myself, and seeing my little name up there for class or category wins, it's the ultimate measure of how well I've done, and it's addictive.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so like putting yourself out there. So how did you prepare? So obviously your first competition, it's kind of a big deal. I remember mine, and just kind of panicked the minute I got out of the car. I was on my own. It just wasn't really a nice experience. So how did you prepare for your first competition mentally? I know some ladies like to wait until they're like ready, and some like me just jump straight in. So how did you do it, and what were the kind of advantages and disadvantages, I guess?
So the bonus for me has been Andy, my husband, shooting before me, and he kind of started his journey a little bit earlier than me. So I've had the benefit of going to registered shoots and just walking around with him. So I knew what to expect from that perspective. I knew what the process was going to look like, what would happen when I got there, how the refs were, and all that kind of thing. So I did have a bit of a bonus to start with. But even without that, I'd have just jumped straight in, because if I hadn't have done, I would have just overthought it, and talked myself out of it, and just thought, oh, that's what the serious people do. I'll just carry on doing other things. I don't really want to do competitions. But I'm glad I did. I'm glad I jumped into it, and I absolutely love it.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, so good. Yeah, I think sometimes, like, my advice would always be to kind of, get your foundation right, do some shooting, and then kind of, don't wait until you're absolutely ready and just shoot it not as a competition. Just
Yeah, you need to get the foundations right, i.e. How to stand, which end of the gun to point, mounting your gun, that kind of thing. Feeling comfortable with opening and closing the gun and things like that. On one of my first registers, I was nervous and I forgot to put my earplugs in. So I was that much thinking about, right, I can open the gun, I can put my cartridges in, everything's going great, I know where I want to shout, pulled the trigger, and my head was ringing. It was awful. The ref just sat there. He didn't. I didn't get any eye rolling. He just kind of went, "Do you want to put your earplugs in?" Yeah. Got on, went back in, and carried on, and it was absolutely fine. But yeah, the nerves make us things sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I suppose with that in mind, what advice would you give to any ladies who are watching, who do want to shoot in a competition but just don't feel confident enough yet? Have you got any words of wisdom for us?
Two things, I think. One of them, for registered shoots, find somebody that already shoots them and just walk around with them. What's great about sporting is you can just walk around with somebody. There's plenty of people doing dogs and all sorts of things. You can just walk around with someone, and that's what certainly helped me for knowing what to expect when I got there. I knew what it would look like, what the forms looked like, how you paid on, what the stands would be like, the setup. I found that helped as there was less surprises then. I promise you, by the time you're halfway around, you wish you'd have signed on, because you'll want to be shooting. And then the other one is, instead of jumping straight into registered, there's plenty of local shooting grounds that just run 50 birders, that are still a little bit, they are still competitions, a lot of them. There's a bit of cash or a bottle of wine or something for the high gun, but it's a little bit less pressurised, a little bit less formal than a registered shoot. And so you can have a go at that, and you can measure yourself out of 50, 100, whatever it is. And then when you feel confident, then go and have a go at the registered ones.
Brilliant. Really good advice. Yeah, I like it. So it's like a bit of like a starter kind of competition, and then kind of getting ready and going for the kind of the big one, as it were. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so talking of confidence, because, I perceive you as, you're very confident. You might not say, but like when you've got a gun in your hand, I perceive you as like some kind of, just a very confident, very confident and very focused, and you just get on and you achieve. And that's what I really, really love about you. So you've obviously held your nerve quite a bit in a few shoot-offs. So do you have any like little tips or like tactics for the ladies watching to kind of help them, trying to overcome nerves?
Yeah, I think so. So my first shoot-off was all such a rush that I didn't have time for nerves. I was shocked. Yeah, and that's kind of trying to get that mantra in my head is one place to start. But I was so shocked to hear my name for a shoot-off for second place amongst some amazing lady shooters. I was just gobsmacked. I didn't win. I took third place, but I was absolutely over the moon. But I didn't have time to feel nervous. It was just, right, where's my gun? Where's my hat? Where's my earplugs? I need to go shoot these targets. So I didn't have time. The most nervous I've been was last year at the British Open, when I somehow qualified for Super Sunday in C class. and I was shaking on the first few stands. So much pressure. But I think the pressure I was putting on myself, I'd already done the hard work to actually qualify and get there. So my tactics for dealing with that is breathe. First of all, was thinking about breathing just to slow my heart rate down a bit. But also I repeat little mantras in my head.
Never mind.
So I'm repeating, you can do this, you're meant to be here and you can do this. And then my favourite for trying to stay consistent and keep hitting pairs once I've hit the first one, rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat.
That's a really good one. Love it. But it is all little things like that, isn't it? That, kind of when we're all kind of like up in the air in like panic and like, oh God, nerves. And it is just very little things like breathing and mantras and affirmations and stuff that kind of bring you back down, isn't it? And yeah, that's really useful. And I think that's fascinating just to kind of know what you do personally. Like, other women will have other ways and, what works for you won't work for someone else. But I think the more kind of little tips and tactics we can get from ladies like you and, what your little routine might really help someone else that had never thought of doing it and stuff. Does that make sense?
One of the very early pieces of advice from the first Bun Club conference, actually, from Cheryl Hall, was to think about what kind of shooting you're doing. So is it a social shoot, is it a competition shoot, or is it a practice shoot? And if it's a competition shoot, I can be very antisocial because I'm trying to, in my head, shut out all the noise and just concentrate on shooting because that's what I'm there to do. As soon as the competition's over, absolutely fine. But during it, I'm literally in the zone, to be a bit cheesy. But you've got to keep that focus.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. That's brilliant. Okay, so in your intro, I mentioned about when you moved up to B class and back down again. So can you tell us, like, what happened? How did it make you feel? And what kind of approach did you do to get back up to B class?
So I just literally squeezed into B class by about 0.2% or something really small. So to start with, I was kind of, oh, this is great, I'm in B class. But actually, I wasn't ready. My average had been swayed by one or two big scores that immediately dropped off for the next qualifying period, so I knew I wasn't going to stay there. So to start with, I was elated that I'd been in B class, but actually reality set in, and I wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready. So when I dropped out of it, I knew I was going to, so I wasn't too disappointed. But what happened then was I got a little bit of confidence back. I had a few C class wins, which again got some confidence back. So that when I got back into B class, I was firmly in it, and that was much more of an achievement than just squeezing into it before. I do try not to obsess over averages too much, but I can't help myself because I'm incredibly goal orientated. So it's great that I can measure my progress in that way and seeing how I've progressed each time they do the classifications.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's awesome. So shooting in America as well. So how did you find it? Obviously, I've been shooting in America as well, and I just absolutely loved it. But I'd love to hear your take on it. And was there anything that really stuck out to you as being really different other than driving everywhere on golf carts in between stands?
So the hospitality, both of the grounds and of the people. So the difference that I've found is that the worlds, every time you stop during the day you'd be shooting, and then in the evening there'd be food on as part of the competition, there'd be a bar open as part of the competition, all part of your kind of signing on fee. The hospitality was amazing, they looked after you, every stand had water, drinks, all that kind of thing, and the people just, they wanted you there. They loved having everybody from all the different countries there, and they couldn't do enough for you. And I think it's certainly a culture thing with the people. I don't know about the grounds, but whether they do that a lot or whether it's just for the big competitions. But it just felt very looked after.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, I felt exactly the same. Like you say, the hospitality and like the welcome is just incredible. And I think a lot more of us girls need to get over to America.
Absolutely.
And do a bit of a ladies shooting club / bun club world tour to the States. Oh, that's great stuff. And are you when are you going abroad again?
So this year we're actually doing the Worlds in the UK, which will be the first time we've done it in the UK. We've done it twice in America and never in England. But I think the Worlds will be back in the States next year. It's been rumoured to be Chicago, but don't quote me on that.
No.
But it'll be next year. We'll go out and do
Brilliant.
the Worlds
So you're doing it. Amazing. Okay, so over here, obviously in the UK, there's this hashtag this girl can, and every time I see it, I just can't help it, but I always think of you. You've got that really good, like, hard-working northern lass kind of vibe, which has really stood you in good stead with your shooting. So how often, like, so all the amazing things you've achieved, how often do you actually get out and practice, and how can, like, women kind of replicate, you know, your success, really, I guess, with hard work?
So do you know what? Practice nowhere near enough.
Oh.
No, I tend to go and shoot registered every Sunday. During the summer, I'm in a Wednesday night league, so I'll shoot every Wednesday night. I do 30 birds, and then on Saturday we tend to go and find a local 50 bird sporting to do. But all of those is actually a measured shoot or a competition as such, and what I don't do is enough practice, enough of going, right, what did I struggle with last time? Mm-hmm. I need to go and put 50, 100 carts through on that particular bird. Haven't done enough of that in the past, and that's one of my things that I want to do this year is perhaps, and I've already started that. So Sunday I didn't do a registered. We went somewhere else and did some practice. Because I did a registered a couple of weeks ago and it wasn't very good. Oh. So I needed to kind of sit back, take stock. Right, we need to do some proper practice. So that would be my probably advice: is you can't just do a competition every week and nothing in between, because you're not practicing. Mm-hmm. You're just shooting the birds. So yeah, practice definitely.
Brilliant.
Need to do more.
Which kind of leads me on nicely to goals and stuff. And obviously you've just mentioned one then, but you're kind of really on your way to greatness. And it's been really phenomenal watching your journey. And I just kind of want to know, and I expect everyone else wants to know, what does this year hold for you? And like, what are your goals? And most importantly, what are you going to do to achieve them? I think you've kind of covered that a little bit.
So this year for me, it's all about consistency. It's all about trying to build on what I've already done, but getting more consistent. If I can hit 7 out of 8, I should be able to hit 8 out of 8 on each stand. So I'm going to do a lot of working on that. I'm going to try and stay in B class. That's my main goal, I think. A better score in the majors than last year. So I hope those are kind of benchmarks for me. So the British and the English, try and hit more than I did last year. And this year I'm going to take part in the England selection shoots, because I don't expect to make the team, don't get me wrong, but unless I go and take part in those shoots and understand the difference in the targets, how much harder they are, what kind of things I might see, if I don't go and understand that and try it, I'm never going to be able to get to that point. So I'm going to try them. And see
You're such an inspiration. This is so brilliant. You're just like so right on my street. So it's kind of like what you're doing, the England selection shoots are a bit like what you were saying for women thinking about going to have a look at a registered shoot before they shoot one. So you're really kind of practicing what you preach, and I love that. It's brilliant. Oh, you're so good. So yeah, great. Thank you so much. You're kind of like really testament to the fact that you keep your eyes on the prize, you put the work in, you approach everything the right way, and you just get it. So before I let you go, I just wanted to do a quick, fun little quick fire round. So if you could finish the sentence. So I wish I'd started this when I first started out. I wish I'd known this when I first started out.
So I wish I'd known about the sport earlier, way earlier, how easy it is to get into and how rewarding it is, and I'd have done it 20 years ago. Brilliant.
That's so good. So other than your guns, ammo, ear and eye protection, what can't you shoot without?
A hat. Preferably my Lucky Browning hat, which I have 2.
Oh, nice.
Or one of them out. But yeah, I always have to have a hat on, and preferably a baseball cap.
Brilliant. And obviously that's, kind of paramount for safety as well. But yeah, it's good you've got a lucky cap. Yeah. So when you're not shooting, your guilty pleasure is?
Watching box sets, anything and everything, or listening to or playing music.
Oh, brilliant. Who are your favourite what are your favourite box sets at the moment?
At the moment, I'm working my way through all 10 series of Scrubs.
Oh, well, I've never seen
Random.
I'll have to put that on my list. Okay, so your dream team to be squadded with, dead or alive?
Okay, my husband, of course. A lady called Hannah Gibson. She's an amazing shooter. She's shot for England. She's won the British Open. And she's the most humble person that I've ever met.
Yeah, she's lovely. She's a beautiful person, isn't she?
Desiree Edmonds, she's a member of the American team, and she's always got a big smile on her face, and she's just an incredibly inspiring person to watch.
Another great one.
Yeah. A guy called Glenn Hunt, so he's the first competition shooter that I ever met years and years ago. Still shoot with him every once in a while. He's a local Leeds boy, an amazing shooter, and he's been really supportive since I started. And then finally, it's got to be George Digweed.
Yeah.
There is be better, so got to have him on your squad.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that sounds like an amazing team. Gosh. And then finally, what would your dream, if money was no object, what would your dream gun be?
Oh, it's got to be a brand new, engraved, shiny Krieghoff, I think.
You're worthy of one of those guns. Give it a kind of trajectory to greatness. Oh, I've loved chatting to you, Lottie. Thank you so much. If people want to find out more about you or kind of get in touch, or maybe if people have got questions, obviously you're in the Ladies Shooting Club members group, so I guess people can reach out to you in there if you don't mind, obviously. And where do people find you online on social media?
Instagram and Twitter. I'm Top Totty Lottie on both of those. Be prepared for gun pictures, selfies, and quite a lot of wedding pictures at the moment.
Oh, those are so beautiful pictures. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon.
Thank you.